Welcome, everybody. My name is Harmony. I am with the Fix It Fair, and we have Lori here on behalf of Financial Beginnings Oregon. And we are going to get started in just a second, but I do need to get us connected to Facebook Live, and it's being a little bit temperamental this morning. So bear with me for just 1 second, then we'll get started. I'm just going to start from the beginning and see if it will load this time. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So again, welcome, Lori. A couple housekeeping items if you're joining us before we get started. If you are with us on Zoom, we love questions. Bring them on. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see if you hover your arrow, there's a Q&A box and there's a chat box. I'm monitoring both of those, so you can drop your questions or comments in either one of those places, and we'll be sure to get those answered for you. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, just drop your comments in the chat and we will get those answered as well. So without further ado, welcome, Lori. Thank you for joining us. And Lori works with United Community Credit Union, and again is here on behalf of Financial Beginnings Oregon, Financial Beginnings Oregon. And we're going to talk about career and education path today.
Great. Thank you, Harmony. It's great to be here. I'm so excited for today's topic. Today, we're going to be going over career education and your path. The last two workshops have built up to this. So we had financing college about 2 weeks ago. Last week was comparing schools and cost. And this is really relevant. We're just going to dive a little bit deeper into how this can work alongside if you're going to go to college, as well as if you want to go into the trades, or if you're in the middle of a career change. This is going to be so great and have so many great resources. So the first two great resources before I really get started that I wanted to share are one, if you go to www.my.act.org. And the other great website that has a lot of great resources, and I touched bases on this last week, is www.bls.gov, and that is for the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Just a lot of great information in these two resources. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to take myself off of the screen so that I don't lose any internet connection, and then I'll be back. All right, so let me just, okay, well, actually it looks like I might stay on here. All right, so this is what we're doing today. We're going to identify the skill sets and interests that further career objectives. We're going to explore the multiple positions available within a desired career. We're going to review salary ranges and wages, determine the education requirements necessary for desired position. We probably won't really get into that, but that is where the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the my.act.org can direct you. So those resources will really direct you. Researching schools that specialize in programs that advance career objectives, and considering if the prestige of the college that you go to comes into play, and understanding the favor given to a well-rounded job candidate, and the importance of your extracurricular activities, volunteerism. All right, so let's go to this first slide. So where do you fit in determining what you'll be when you grow up? I think that a lot of us could answer this question. I can tell you personally, for my own life experience, that going into college, I was not sure what direction to go. There was about probably five areas I really wanted to go into. Medical field, teaching definitely was one of the big areas. And I would tell you that I think I wish that I would have gone to school to be a teacher, but the great news is I do a lot of teaching in my job. And then again, at that age, when I graduated from high school, I didn't realize there were so many things that fell under the umbrella of those career fields. So if you have no idea, that is very normal, and that is more common. If you have an idea of the industry or your major, that's really great. That's such a great step. And if you know the exact job you will have, that's phenomenal. You'll see that when you look at this, there are fewer people that know the exact job that they will have, that they pursue. Having an idea of the industry for your major is really great. And for any of you that are still in high school, or for any of you that have students that will be going to high school, or if you have nieces, nephews, any family members, neighbors, if they're getting ready to go into high school, or they are in high school, starting their junior and senior year, the majority of high schools have all these great programs that are in place right now that are for certain career technical areas. So for example, if someone wants to go in the medical field, if they want to go into the entrepreneur, if they want to go into manufacturing or construction, so many of the high schools have these so that when the students are picking their courses, they can pick those their junior and senior year. And really, that's how they get to decide if they want to go into that career field. I think it's just fabulous. I know that when I was in high school, we did have some really great career areas. We had construction, we had auto repair, but other than that, I don't remember as many courses. So that is for people that, and students for in high school. If you have any family members, please share that bit of information. It's very exciting. And a lot of those classes may offer, like I had brought up and we discussed in Financing College, some college credit. So that can reduce the spending that you have for college. I know exactly what I want my career to be. Well, again, that is really great for some of us. Not all of us are that in tuned. And I think even again for myself, I shared with you that there was probably about 5 areas when I first graduated from high school. I would have also liked to have been a beautician, I believe. Here I am years later, and I actually took about 10 years ago, I did go in and I took an ACT test, and we're going to talk about this. And that's really about your skills and your interest. And I paid some money for a counselor at the college to actually review it. And it was really exciting at this point in my time in my life, because the results, the counselor had mentioned that he hadn't seen someone score this high in so many different fields. And what was really great for me is I was like, how many people at my age do you have taking this test where you can review it? And B, I've lived enough of my life that these don't surprise me in my skills and interests. And I will tell you, one was in the financial industry, which I've been in forever. One was teaching. One was park ranger, which I totally could have seen myself. So my own life experiences that I wanted to share that with you. For any of you that are going to be going to college or going into the trades, making a career shift, I just really think that this information is going to be really helpful for this next part of your journey. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Things may change. Make sure you are preparing for possible career changes. Definitely, things will change. Did you know that the average person, especially if you are going to college, will change that around 4 to 8 times? The average person might have 11 jobs from the time that they're 18 to 44. So again, this is why this is such a great course, and I'm so excited to be here with you today, and that Fix It Fair is putting this on, because this is really common. And this is why, as we proceed into this course, there's some really great tips and tricks for you. All right. I'm going to go to the next slide. I have no idea what I want to do. So again, this is really common. There are people that will go to school for maybe 4 years or not go to school for 4 years and decide, wow, I'm in an area that either A, I really don't like this career choice, or B, they could be in a position in life. I found myself in a position in life where I was like, I need to go back to school and get my degree so that I can go into a field that I really love. When I first got out of high school, I was working at a grocery store, which at the time was just fine because I started college at Mount Hood Community College. I took classes, and what I found for me was that I was just still unclear. There was a couple things I wanted to do. So I took a time out, I worked, and then I hit about 22, 23, and I was like, okay, I need to go and get a career. Working at the grocery store, I worked a lot of swing shifts, which I loved. I was more of a night owl for my social life. It worked out really great. But what I realized is this is not what I want for my future life. I don't want to work swing shifts. I don't want to have a sporadic schedule every 2 weeks. I found that as I got a little bit older, between 23 and 26, that a lot of my friends were getting married. They were getting set in their careers, and a lot of them had Monday through Friday jobs. So even to hang out with my friends became very different, and my social activities became very different. So a lot of this information is really to talk about your future life as well. Things are going to change, and you just want to make sure that you're understanding you, and you're patient, and you give yourself this time. All right, understanding you. This is great. So understanding you, your personal preferences, your skills and abilities, knowledge, interest, personality, external factors, achievements, your motivations and values. That is huge. Motivations and values is really, really important for your career choice. I feel that when you spend so much time at work, and the average person spends at least 40 hours a week, that is almost more time when you look at your career lifespan than you're spending with your family. So you really want to make sure that the career that you're choosing, or the job that you have, that you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, if you're passionate about it, it won't seem so much like work. I just really feel, I know that for my girls, I shared with on a previous video, I have a 19 and 20-year-old, and at some points there have been conversations of fields that they wanted to go into. I'm like, what made you think about going into that field? Well, I want to make a lot of money. And so that conversation opened up, well, okay, but let's look at the money that you make. Are you going to be able to balance your family life if that's what you want to have? And do you think that this is going to be a job that you're going to feel passionate about and that mentally stimulates you? So as we started having these conversations, it was really great because they were able to look at a couple different careers and really see the value of being mentally stimulated and enjoying their job and attaching their own moral compass with their motivations and values. So just a couple things on understanding you. On your personal preference, is there specific geographic locations or companies that you would like to work at? I know for one of my daughters, when we talked about the cost of college and her career path, she was, accepted to the 5 colleges that she wanted to go to. And she did choose 5 colleges because she was in a great program called College Possible. And that was a huge suggestion that they provided. what that did was that once she applied for those schools and she filled out her FAFSA, remember that's free application for student aid, when she received these award letters and she was able to look at the different colleges and the different grants or scholarships that she had, the bottom line was really the dictator of where she went to school. And that conversation had to be, okay, this is great that you've been accepted to all 5 of these colleges, but the end of your 4 years of college, what college is going to offer you, what choice is going to give you the least amount of debt, so you can maximize your experience and make sure that you maximize your dollar by staying on a good budget. So it was really important for her to understand the loan load that she would be taking out. So what's really great, she's graduating actually in 3 years with $5,500 worth of debt, but she will be going for her master's in September. And that is where really more of her student loan debt will come into play. And that's how she planned it. This was very planned. And a lot of that was for her and who she wanted to work for. She might have to move to the East Coast. So we had to have that conversation. If you live on the East Coast, the expenses of living are way more. Will you be able to afford just to pack up, purchase a new car or a new used car, start paying rent, and live in this area? Because it's really common once you start in a field, just keep in mind that you're probably going to start towards the bottom of the work area. So when you start with that salary, it's just going to be really important to pay attention to all these different factors. What kind of work schedule do you want? Do you want to have 9 a.m. to 5? Do you want to work swing shifts? Do you want to work nights? Do you want to work weekends? I shared with you that I realized working swing shifts for me and working weekends were just fine at a certain time in my life. But then I could really see that I needed to forecast for the next 4 years of changing my career field so that I could balance my social life. I could balance when I was going to have a family. I just didn't want that schedule for my family life. Skills and abilities, exploring things that you're good at, where you have interest or talent. You know, you can always develop skills. This is what's really great. Not all of us are going to go to college, and not all of us is college necessary. There are so many phenomenal trades. If you have skills in construction, in being an electrician, these are just skills where you're wired. The trades are the best thing ever to start going into. These are your abilities, these are skills. Really pay attention to this, because this isn't where you have to choose college. This could be something also that if you know that at one point you want to own your own business, and whether you go into the trades or you take 2 years of college, again, just pay attention to your skills and abilities. Interest. I just want to share again, for any of you that are going to be going to high school, for any of you that have children or family members or neighbors that are going to be going into high school, make sure that you share with them this information, that you have heard that they get to choose their junior and senior year. They get to choose classes in certain career fields. So if they think that they have any skills, values that follow along, highly suggest this, their interest. They can take these classes, and that sets them up for so much success. If they're taking a manufacturing class in high school, that means that when they graduate from high school, they've already been learning these skills, these abilities, they have these interests. They could go right into a manufacturing job right out of high school. So how great is that? And not only can they go into that, but if they have skills and abilities where they feel that one day they want to be the manager, another great fit. They can be a supervisor, they can be the leader. It's getting in there. It's not necessarily that they have to take the path to college. Even that's something, if you haven't gone through this experience, maybe you know someone that completed 4 years of college and they went into a career field and they just realized this is not what I find this is not what I want to do with my life. So either A, they went back to school to go into a different career field, or they just didn't go in that direction. I had one of my best friends, she went to 2 years of beauty school. She was good at it, but she realized when she completed about 6 months after that she didn't really enjoy that for her career. She enjoyed those things in her own time. She enjoyed that type of thing. So she actually went into banking. She was in banking for a long time. And then she hit an age in her 30s where that wasn't really stimulating her enough. So she went to a career school. It was a 10-month career school to go into the medical field. And now she does coding and billing for OHSU, and she loves her job. She is busy all day long. She is mentally stimulated. She just loves her job. So there's just a really great journey of someone's life that is also very common. External factors would be the job market. What does your job market look like? And again, as we go through these slides, www.bls.gov, that's for Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is such a great website for resources to see, what do they see in this job growth in the next 10 years? What do they have for the hourly wages, and what states pay what wages? So that's what's so great, is if you think that you want to move to another state, you can go look at this website, pull up that state, and you can see what the cost of living is. You can see what your wages, your salaries are. I'm a huge advocate, huge cheerleader for these two websites. All right, tools to help: career assessments, job shadowing, networking, volunteering. I think volunteering is huge. Volunteering puts you in the position that if there's a certain field that you have a passion for, if you start volunteering and you're able to be in a volunteering position where you're in the environment, that really gives you a great opportunity, A, to give back to the community, and B, for you to see if this is something that you just want to do as a volunteer, or if this is truly something that you could do as a career. I know that there are certain types of career fields that I could volunteer for, but I could not emotionally handle as a career. I would take too much home, and I think it would affect my family. But volunteering, I could do it maybe once a week, maybe once a month. As soon as my girls are in a different area, that's something that I know I could do. Internships, career counseling. Career counseling, I highly suggest. Again, for any of you that are high school students, or you have family members, it is so great because they can go to their career counselors in high school and get so much information. If you're not in high school, you're out and you haven't been in the workforce, and you want to go back into the workforce, or you've been in the workforce and it's just, you're not content, I highly suggest, this is why I shared my story, is looking up your local community college, PCC, maybe Mount Hood. We're in the Portland, Oregon area. You could look up, and they have counselors that are available where you can go take these skills and interest tests, and then you get to sit down with the counselor, and they will go through how you answered and help you identify some fields for careers that if you want to take classes, or if you're coming high up in things that go into the trades. So it could be a cost anywhere from $150 to $250, but I highly, highly suggest it. You get to sit with someone, they give you a diagnosis of how you answered your questions, and that's if you want to pay for it. As we continue in this presentation, you're going to have the option that where you can look at it yourself. So here we go. This is awesome. You will see my.act.org. All right, so this used to be, some of you may be familiar, this was the actprofile.org, and now it's my.act.org. So some of you, just so you know, it's the same thing, but this is what's really, really great. So this is an example of someone that answered, there's about 72 questions. You go to myact.org, you create a file, and then you can go where it says plans, and you'll hit that tab. And then what that lets you do is take this test. And this test is really about your skills and your interest. So you go through, you'll answer, it's about 72 questions, and then you're going to get your summary back. And here's a great example of, this is someone that took a test, and you'll see that they came up in business operations, technical, science and technology, arts, social services, administration, and sales. And then to the right, it shows color codes that if it came up in gray, if it came up in blue, this is matches at least one inventory, and red matches two or more. So what this is doing is it's taking, based off of how you answered it, the results of your interest. Your self-reported abilities suggest that you may see yourself as, this example shows that this person able to lead others to achieve a goal, good at convincing others to try a product or service. And then it goes into the values, appreciating the importance of science in your daily life, value success in leadership roles in business or politics. So this is what's so powerful, is if you take some time out of your day, whether you're going to be going into college, if you're going to go into high school, your junior, senior year, if you are in the workforce, if you're going to go back into the workforce, this is just a really great place to start. It gives you so much information. And if it can dial in for you these certain areas of interest based off of how you answered some questions, that can then take you to the next place of, these are the type of fields that follow under these items. I'll tell you one area, I had no idea what human resource was. And that's not anything that was discussed with me. I would not, you don't know what you don't know until you know. And that's why this test is really powerful. I feel, again, that if I would have known about human resource, that might have been something that I might have majored in. I love policies and procedures. I didn't realize I loved policies and procedures until I was in the financial industry. I liked formulas. I didn't realize that in high school with math, that I really enjoyed formulas, but that's probably because I didn't apply it every day in my life. Whereas now in the financial industry, I really enjoy formulas and that type of math. So again, myact.org. And it's free. Once you go in there, you get to create that profile, and it's free. All right, determining your education path. School has been your job. So if you are graduating from high school, or you've been out of school, if any of you can remember, it's hard not to remember that school was your job. For many of us, the school goes from first grade to 12th grade. Even if you got your GED and you didn't go up to the 12th grade, if you completed up to your 9th or your 10th grade year, that's at least 9, 10, 12 years of your life. Then if you want to pursue college, it is a job. So just keep that in mind, that that's been your job and you didn't get paid for it, but what your education has provided for you is the opportunity to learn, gain skills, knowledge, and abilities for your future life. Shift in mindset, you could easily have a shift in mindset. Sometimes it is good to take some time out away from school. If you graduate from high school, you have to be in tune to yourself. If you're disciplined, are you someone that could take some time out and give yourself a good 2 to 3 years, and then take that time and say, okay, what career field do I want to go into and what do I need to do? That would be great. But sometimes it's really difficult to get back into furthering your education or furthering your skills and your abilities for your career. What happens is life. So what life will do is that if you graduate, whether you go to college or you don't, if you go and get your first apartment, you get your first car, then you have debt. Now you have obligations. And the more debt that you have, you are tied to working to pay for those debts. So keep that mindset available. Increased options for determining your education path, definitely. Matching education to desired career. And again, what's so great is it's not necessarily going to a community college or a four-year college. You could go to a trade. You could go into a career school, get your associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree at a community college, or you go ahead and you get your 4-year degree, which is a bachelor's degree at a state college and community college. However, whatever preference works for you best. Master or law degree. So I have one daughter that will be pursuing her master. And she is going into the medical field. And it's really exciting to watch her go through this journey, because as she has switched, at one point, she thought that maybe she wanted to be a physical therapist, and that is not in her path at all at this point, because that's just not where her passion will lie, as well as her stimulation for her mental part of the job. So, and then there's some that will go on and continue to get their doctorate. A pediatrician is a great example of someone that's going to have to go to medical school, and they won't finish their school until they are in their 30s. An electrician will need to go to a trade school. And what's really great about an electrician, plumber, is these are jobs, apprenticeships. You start making more than the minimum wage. And the more hours that you work, the more education that you get and the higher your income goes. So it's a really great opportunity for many of us. We are hands-on learners. So this is really phenomenal right here. If you're unsure that you want to go to college right out of high school, or let's just say that you've been out of the workforce, you want to re-enter, or you want to switch careers, why don't you go ahead and get a job in the medical field? If that's something that you enjoy, this would be a great stepping stone where you could get in working maybe for a large organization, Emmanuel Hospital, Kaiser, and you can work in this field to see, do you like this external factor? Do you like the pace of a hospital? Do you like the schedules? There's so many different things within a hospital. And once you work there for a year or 2 years, maybe you could talk to your employer and see what they do. If you want to go back and further your education to move up in that desired hospital, and see what they participate in to help you go back to school. That's really common. So use that as an option as well. Here's myact.org again. Okay, so we're going to go back to this. I love it. So this is a different platform. This is the same types. This is narrowing down even deeper the summary of someone that took this skills and interest test. So my.act.org, again, this is free. You'll create a file, a profile, and then you take this test. And again, it will section things off. So this one gives you a little bit more. This is about the data, things, ideas, and people. And your interest results will show a good fit with a number of college majors. You'll see on this example, many of them are found in business, education, community services. Then over to the right, it will narrow down how your skills and interests came up, and it will show you in certain fields if you need a 4-year degree, or if you need a 2-year degree, or if a career college where it just specializes in something in a field that you want to go to. If you want to be a dental assistant, if you want to be a dental hygienist, you may be able to just go right into a career school. So really keep that in mind. But this is why it's free my.act.org. If you are just considering that you need to change in our life, I think that with the past year, we've been in COVID for the last year. There's been so much life change and life happening for so many that this is why I'm even more passionate about being here with the Fix It Fair and excited for new opportunities that can come out of this past year. So again, this is free and you get so many great resources. And then if this isn't enough for you, but if you enjoy doing the my.act.org and it gave you some direction, but you want a deeper dive into this, think about reaching out to one of the community colleges to see if they have something where you can take a very similar test, and then a counselor at the college could help you dissect it so that you can see, do I need to take classes? And you could go to that community college and start your way into a new area. Your career is just one piece of your future self. So again, this is a big part. Your career is just one piece of your future self. So here's a timeline. And you really want to look at this timeline because it involves your finance, it involves your career, it involves your family and the leisure. So based on the career choices, what's going to be the most important thing? What's the most important thing in your life balancing act? Is it leisure? Is it family? Is it going far in your career? Is it making the most money? If you can put that in order of what is most important for you, then you can figure out, how am I going to balance this in life? And that also is going to help you along your career path. All right. Do you want to work to live, or do you live to work? So that's a really important question to ask yourself. Do you have a proper balance in your personal and professional life? Are you ensuring a proper balance? And again, life changes so much. Are you someone that knows that you want to have a family? Do you want to have one child, 3 children? Do you not want to have children? These are things that you're going to have to look at for your future life. Do you want to have a job where you're gone a lot? Do you want to be, here's a really great one. What about military? I mean, the military, do you want to be a career military? Will that mean that you will be moving to new locations? For some people, that is a great fit. You get to travel all over the world. When you pick a career, do you want to travel all over the world? Do you want to live somewhere for 4 years, 5 years? Do you want to live in the same area? If you want to have a family, do you want your children to live in the same neighborhood? So many different things to factor in. And this is why it's just so great that we're going over this. So again, this is what I mentioned. Life's balancing act, leisure, family, career, finance. Your career, the majority of your time at work, with your schedules, what chosen profession. If you choose a profession that has a high intensity or high danger spectrum, how will you be able to balance that so that if your goal is that you also have a family, how are you able to balance that? That's going to be something that's really important. All right, will my career provide the lifestyle I want? This is the other great website. We brought this up last week. And again, last week, we did the comparing schools and cost, and we talked about the Bureau of Labor Statistics, www.bls.gov. This is so great because you can go in to any state. So currently I live in the state of Oregon. I could go ahead and look in Oregon and see what my designated career choice is and see what my salary is, what the minimum is, what the max is. You'll see that here we have an example of a social worker. So again, just remember that when you go into a profession, expect that you will typically start out at the bottom because you may not have enough experience. For some of you, if you volunteered or you did internships in this field the whole entire time that you went to school, and let's just say it was for Kaiser. Let's say that you got a job in high school or right out of high school and you attended college as well as worked at this hospital. By the time that you finish, if you're going to college for 4 years and you've had all this internship or volunteering at that hospital, you're probably going to be in tune to a lot of other factors, whereas someone may not. So you may start out at a higher salary. Keep that in mind. These are really important factors. But again, I cannot tell you how resourceful this is for the www.bls.gov. Not only does this give you salaries, but it lets you go into other states to see what the income is. It lets you know the future growth of the area in career that you want to go to. That's going to be really important too. What is the future? What in the next 10 years, if you're pursuing a career, do they see that this career is going to be growing, or is this career not going to be growing? IT is something that is growing at a rapid rate. That is something that if I'm sure that you went in and that's something that you're thinking about, that you'll see that there is a consistent growth. So again, what this website and this platform will give you is career information, data tools, earnings, wage data by area and occupation, and earnings by industry. And again, it's free. All right, the importance of doing your research on salaries. So again, when we talked, last week we talked about comparing schools and cost, and the week before we talked about financing college. This is why this is such a great relationship with these topics, because I'm just going to emphasize again the salary for your expectations. You really want to make sure that you know what the return on your investment is for your education, the ROI. And what we did for that formula is that's where you take how much is it going to cost me to go to school for 2 years or 4 years. Or if I go into the trade school, which you won't have that much investment that you have to pay. Your investment will be getting the proper clothing, the proper shoes, the tools, so that you can be safe on your job. And so that return on investment is going to be huge because you don't have a lot of cost. But this should be really in the forefront of your thought process for your expenses, for the debt that you are going to accrue. So you'll have the cost of 4 years of school, divide it by what's your first year salary. And that's going to really give you a good idea on the return on investment. It allows you to get an idea of your potential starting salary. Again, that's going to be really important because for many of you, or for many of us, we decide to go in and get further education for more opportunities. So when we look at those salaries, we look at the income, we're looking at that because we have the cost of living. And the cost of living could be 30% for your housing, your utility bills, your cell phone, your insurances. Then transportation. For many of you, is that going to be when you're going to buy your first new used car? Again, these are really important factors because once you graduate from school, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to meet your expenses based off of what your salary is, and if you've put yourself in debt. You just want to really understand those student loans. All right, starting on the ground floor. So here's a really great example of someone that knows that they love law. You could start in as a law clerk. You could go to school to be a paralegal. What's really phenomenal is once you've gotten into the law system and you've completed these areas, you'll really know if you want to continue your education or continue your path to move up to an attorney or possibly be a partner and own half of that law firm. Or do you want to be a judge? So this is what's really great. What is your career path? And that's where we talked about life balancing. It is really important for your future life to sit down and see, okay, do I want to have a family? Do I see myself being married? Do I see myself having kids? What do I want out of my family life? Because that's going to be really important to make sure that you can balance your career life. All right, what schools? Career determined, positions explored, educational requirements determined, now choosing the right school. So here's a really important question. In some careers, do you think that the school makes a difference? And I'm just going to give you a hint that the slide before dealt with law. So in some cases, the answer is yes. Depending maybe if you're going to go into the law field, I think that there are some universities that have a higher ranking and a higher standard, or they have a higher, when they get out of law school, they may be able to get hired faster because they are attended Harvard. In other areas, if you go to a beauty school and you're just really talented, you could simply go to Mount Hood Community College. You could go to a career school that has 18 months specifically for that, and it won't matter. So just make sure that you're checking that. Because some schools do specialize in your field, and they have a very strong reputation because they are specializing. All right, determining the right school. So again, here's just a couple of examples. Does the school prestige matter for your desired career? Here's Harvard University, Oregon Health and Science University, Washington State University, Mount Hood Community College. What schools have a strong program in your desired field, and how far away do you want to go to attend school? So let's look at Oregon Health and Science University, OHSU. Let's talk about this fabulous institution. So what's different and unique about Oregon Health and Science University is that this is a learning hospital. So there, if you go to Oregon Health and Science University, it's phenomenal. The staff is phenomenal. The staff is so diverse. It's really great because people are choosing this school because it's a learning school. They have studies going on there. There are people that come there throughout the United States because they might fit into a very, very, very small percentage so that they can help future generations by going to this school. And then you have up and coming brilliant people that are going into the health field, and this is how they're driven. They're driven to understand more and give back more. So that's a phenomenal, that would be a really phenomenal reason why people would want to go to Oregon Health and Science University, because it's a learning hospital. Let's talk about Harvard. I brought that out. Harvard is very well known for attorneys. Mount Hood Community College. So this is what's really great. There's so many people in your area. It doesn't necessarily have to be Mount Hood Community College. That's just in our local area. I have a friend that received her master's or her associate's degree at Mount Hood, and she finished with the associate's degree, and she ended up being a vice president of a huge company. She was able to retire at 52. You know, she's traveled. She has just done incredible things. And she went to Mount Hood and received her associate's degree. So keep that in mind. It doesn't necessarily have to be a four-year degree, but that's also where the skills and interests are really important to take, because if you find that you score higher in some business or administration things, it could show based off of those tests on the my.app.org that you could just finish an associate's degree and you could still work your way up in management. So that's really great. All right, where do I go from here? Exploring your career options, researching salaries. Keep in mind your life plan. Determine education path. Research schools. I really will share with many of you that in my own life experience, I wish that someone would have talked to me more about keeping in mind your life plan. That is something that I grew into on my own in my 20s. I don't think that we talk about that enough, but it's really something important. And again, what you think you want in your 20s can change in your 30s. What you think you want in your 30s can absolutely change in your 40s. And, continuing on that path. And that's why there's so many people that choose to go into different career paths, because they've worked in a career path and they're not maybe mentally stimulated. They're not getting enough out of that life balance. So keep in mind your life plan. That's the first thing I'm really gonna share with you. And then explore your career options, research those salaries, determine your education path, and research your schools. That's kind of how I would actually organize it. Living expenses are going to eat up your salaries. So that is, again, really important when you're exploring your career options and you're researching your salaries. What's the demand for your field? This is why it's really great to go to www.bls.gov. And again, BLS stands for Bureau of Labor Statistics. That was my timer, just letting me know I'm on 8 minutes with all of you. So that is why I keep bringing this up. And that's why I keep sharing with you my.act.org. If you go ahead and create your file, you can go in there. You will go to where it says plans, and then you're going to go ahead and take your test, take your inventories, and this will give you an abundant amount of information that lets you search careers, view your summary on how you scored based off how you took these, how you answered these questions, and define the majors and the next step to explore those career options. All right, but it doesn't stop here. So this will also help you narrow down your list of schools to which you will apply if that's the direction you need to go to. Again, if you have skills and interest to go into the trades, go into the trades. Go into, there's so many great apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship programs right now. So if it's something that you've been out of the workforce, and you feel that you have good skills and interest, you can always learn more skills and develop more skills. There are programs out there that offer pre-apprentice programs. And that's to give you maybe 2 months or 3 months of getting your basic skills so that you can qualify for an apprenticeship. This is something that is also really great. If you feel that you want to go to a community college in a field, or you want to go into a trade school, what's really great by taking my.act.org is you can check to see, depending on what you want to go into, do you need to have a high school diploma? Will a GED suffice? If you just need a GED, we all have different lives, we have different journeys. Then guess what? You can get that set up to get your GED and then go into that field. So don't let these simple things prevent you from going into an industry or making a career change that is going to help you balance your life better. And there's so many great resources. Then you can begin applying to the schools you determine to be the best fit, or if it's a trade that you want to go into, start applying for that apprenticeship. Begin applying for financial aid. If you are going to go back to school October 1st, that is the day that you can start applying for FAFSA. And that is free application for student aid. And you can do that on October 1st. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can go in there and apply. The earlier, the better. And then once accepted, that's where you would compare your financial packages. This is if you are going to go into a career that you have to have a degree. This allows you to compare the cost of 2 to 4 years worth of school, and then where you can compare the salaries of the industry, or if you're lucky enough to even specify exactly what it is that you want to major. This is going to get you to that point. All right, so we are at the end of this hour. And our goal was that you would know how to identify your skill sets and interests that further your career objectives. My.act.org is going to be a great way to help you on that journey. understand how to explore the multiple positions available within a desired career, review your salary ranges. Again, www.bls.gov. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is going to help you with that. Know how to determine the education requirements necessary for your desired position. That is where you can find on both those websites, as well as if you need to go look at if it's a trade, you can also check on many of their websites for the apprentice programs, and they will provide that information. Know how to research schools that specialize in programs that further career objectives. Again, this is something where there are certain schools, they are career schools that you don't necessarily have to go to a community college or the 4-year. These will be specific schools. There are nursing schools that you specifically can go into, and it's just about nursing, and you get out of the school less than 4 years. It doesn't make it any easier. It's just maybe a faster time to get to your career. Understand the favor given to well-rounded job candidates, the importance of your extracurricular activities and your volunteerism. I can't state enough that if there's a field that you want to go into, if you are in high school, please take advantage while you are in high school, your junior and senior year, of these type of career areas. How wonderful that you can go to school. You don't have to pay for these courses. Many of them offer college credits, and you get the opportunity to say, "Ooh, I do not like this career field," and you can change it, and it's all for free. By the time that you choose if you want to go to college, that is where you pay for your own schooling. And then if you're going into a different career change or you're entering back into the workforce, this presentation is just so helpful for the career education and path. All right, so that finishes our presentation for today. So are there any questions or resources that I could help anyone out with?
Thank you, Lori. We do have one question. So we covered a lot of how to try to make the right decision so you don't have to change things like once you're in a school. But do you have any suggestions for folks that are maybe 2 years into their college education and say, oh, I don't want to do this, like total change of path, and how to do that the most gracefully and easily?
Okay, so the first thing, that's a great question. And that is so normal. I think that is probably on a higher percentage of what most people experience. So the first thing that I would do is, if you are in school right now, go talk to your career counselor. You want to make sure that you are talking to that guidance counselor, and you want to go sit with them and let them know this is just not the path that I want to go. You're already invested for 2 years. Don't beat yourself up, because remember, this is the most common. You don't know what you don't know until you know. The next thing is, ask them if they have a skills and interest test that you could take. Many of the universities do. What's really great is even the high schools are doing these type of tests. And if you want, before you go meet with this counselor, go ahead and go to the my.act.org and take this skills and interest and see what results you get. So you can look at this and see, is it showing somewhat close to the field that you're in, or is it way outside of it? That is probably the best bet that I would offer. And if you're already in a lot of debt and you've already gone these 2 years, it's just going to be really crucial that you go talk to this guidance counselor. That's definitely where I would start. And if you have any people around you, or you have friends that you can really trust, that have maybe experienced some things, or friends that you feel really good talking about, ask them if they're experiencing the same thing. That just helps, I think, with support and how others have handled those situations when they arise.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. Tons of great advice in this, from the volunteering to the careers test and the websites. I did post those websites in the chat, so if nobody wrote them down, no worries, they are not lost. We have them here. That's all the questions we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us again. And
Thanks for having me.
See you next time. Thank you, Lori.
Have a great day, everyone.